Picture this. The man running the biggest football tournament on the planet walks into a press conference just one day before the World Cup begins. Cameras rolling, journalists ready, the whole world watching. And when he's asked about ticket prices so high that ordinary fans are being completely locked out of the World Cup, he leans into the microphone and says, "Just chill." Yes, he actually said that. June 10th, 2026. Estadio Azteca, Mexico City. One day before kickoff of what Gianni Infantino himself called the biggest event probably in the history of mankind, and that was his message to the fans. Not an apology, not reassurance, not accountability, just chill. But here's the thing. This wasn't a press conference about a small complaint. This was a storm. Reporters were asking about outrageous ticket prices, about fans spending thousands of dollars for seats they didn't expect, about confusing seating maps, about state investigations, about subpoenas from attorneys general, about a Somali referee reportedly denied entry at the airport. And standing in the middle of all of it was FIFA's president, defending the machine. So what exactly happened here? What did Infantino defend? What did he dodge? And most importantly, is FIFA's version of this story even believable? Because once you look at the numbers, this stops being controversial and starts looking unbelievable. Let's start with the prices, because this is where the anger really exploded. For the 2026 World Cup, FIFA listed group stage tickets starting around $140. Sound expensive already, but that was nothing compared to the final. Regular seats of the final in New Jersey were listed as high as $8,680. Then that number climbed to $10,990. And then some tickets went up to $32,970. Let that sink in. $32,970 for a football ticket. At that point, this isn't just expensive. It's a message about who this World Cup is for and who it clearly is not for. And then came the resale market. That's where things became even more surreal. On resale platforms, fans were seeing final tickets listed at nearly $10,000 just to get in the building. Lower bowl seats, some were listed at $25,000 or more. And on FIFA's own official resale marketplace, the prices were still astronomical. Now compare that to Qatar 2022. Back then, ticket prices ranged from around $69 to $1,607. So in just 4 years, the World Cup didn't just get more expensive. It became something else entirely. Something far more exclusive, far more corporate, far more detached from the average football fan. And that wasn't an accident. Because FIFA didn't just raise prices. They changed the system itself. They used dynamic pricing, meaning the price you saw today might not be the price you saw tomorrow. The more demand increased, the more the prices climbed. In theory, that sounds like simple market logic. In reality, it meant fans were under pressure. Buy now, or get priced out later. And critics say that pressure got even worse because FIFA kept the most important information hidden. Fans didn't know exactly how many tickets were left. They didn't know how pricing was being adjusted. They didn't know whether scarcity was real or manufactured. So people weren't just paying high prices. They were paying high prices in a system they couldn't fully see. And then came the seating controversy. This is where frustration turned into anger. Fans buying expensive Category 1 tickets thought they were getting some of the best seats in the stadium. That's what the maps seemed to suggest. But in reality, many of the prime seats were carved out separately for premium buyers, corporate clients, and sponsors. So regular fans paid premium money and still ended up with awkward angles, corner views, or partially obstructed seats. Imagine paying thousands, only to realize the seat you thought you bought was never really the seat you thought you were getting. And then the story got even darker, because reports began to suggest that more than 40,000 tickets disappeared from FIFA's main sales platform, and then a very similar number appeared on its resale marketplace at different prices. If that happened the way critics suspect, then this wasn't just a pricing problem. This was a transparency problem, a trust problem, maybe even a legal problem. And that's when the attorneys general stepped in. New York and New Jersey launched a joint probe into FIFA's ticketing practices. Other states, including Texas and California, also raised concerns. The language was serious. Fans, they said, had gone through a gauntlet of confusion, fake scarcity, and sky-high prices. That's the backdrop. That's the pressure. That's what was waiting for Infantino when he sat down at that microphone in Azteca. So what did he do? Did he apologize? No. Did he admit mistakes? No. Did he announce a review? Also no. Instead, he fought back. Infantino's defense was simple. If FIFA is guilty here, then so is everybody else. He pointed to American sports. The NBA Finals. The Stanley Cup Final. He argued that ticket prices in North America regularly reach absurd levels, especially on the resale market. And to be fair, he's not entirely wrong. The resale market in American sports can be brutal. But here's a problem with that comparison. Those prices are usually driven by individual resellers. FIFA, on the other hand, was setting massive primary prices itself. FIFA was raising prices on its own platform. FIFA was controlling the system. FIFA was taking fees on resale transactions. That's not the same thing. Not even close. And then came one of Infantino's more interesting arguments. He suggested that if FIFA sold tickets more cheaply, scalpers would have bought them and flipped them for even more money. And honestly, that argument is not completely absurd. Scalping is real. Underpriced tickets often do end up enriching resellers. But that still leaves one huge question hanging in the air. If ordinary fans are still locked out either way, what exactly is the moral difference between scalpers taking the money and FIFA taking it? Is that really protecting football or just redirecting the profit? Then Infantino reached for the biggest shield of all. FIFA is a non-profit. He argued that the World Cup is FIFA's main revenue engine, and that the money earned goes back into football development across 211 countries. On paper, that sounds noble. But in practice, it clashes hard with the image we're looking at. A tournament projected to generate more than $11 billion. Tickets rising into the tens of thousands. Premium categories over $30,000. Resale fees built directly into the ecosystem. At some point, the non-profit label stops sounding like a defense and starts sounding like branding. Yes, FIFA later offered a limited batch of $60 tickets through National Federation for supporter groups. But the scale matters. When you're talking about roughly 6 to 7 million tickets overall, that allocation is tiny. So critics didn't see it as a solution. They saw it as optics. A gesture. A headline. Not a fix. And maybe the most revealing part of all, Infantino said FIFA was very relaxed about the investigations. Very relaxed. Think about that. When multiple state authorities are asking questions, when fans are furious, when your pricing model is under national scrutiny, and your response is calm confidence, that can mean one of two things. Either FIFA truly believes it is legally protected, or FIFA has simply spent so long surviving scandals that pressure no longer changes its behavior. And that is what makes this story bigger than ticket prices. Because this isn't only about law. It's about identity. What is the World Cup now? Is it still the people's tournament? Still the game of the masses? Still football's greatest shared experience? Or is it becoming a luxury product dressed up in the language of global unity? Because the World Cup is not just another event. It means more than that. It carries emotion, memory, nationhood, history. And when ticket prices get so extreme that governments launch investigations and fans are told to just chill, you're not just selling seats. You're redefining what the World Cup is, and maybe who it belongs to. That press conference told us a lot. Infantino defended the prices. He welcomed the investigations. He compared FIFA to American sports. And he offered almost no sign that FIFA believed it had crossed any line at all. Which brings us to the real question. Was FIFA simply adapting to the North American market? Or did it cross a line that the organization running the world's game should never have crossed? And when the tournament ends, will these investigations actually lead to consequences? Or will FIFA walk away with billions, while fans are left with a bill? Because long after the final whistle blows, this story won't disappear. It will still be there, in courtrooms, in headlines, in empty seats, and in the growing feeling that football's biggest stage is slipping further and further away from the people who made it matter in the first place. Ending CTA, what do you think? Was Infantino right? Was this just market reality? Or did FIFA turn the World Cup into something ordinary fans were never meant to access? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dive football stories like this, subscribe now. Because this one is far from over.